One day, I was meditating when I had this beautiful experience. I was taken to this place where I saw one of my past lives a long time ago on a planet called Maladev. Here was this beautiful child playing with other children. There was so much love and harmony in the air. Our bodies were a little bit like Casper, the friendly ghost. We had huge gold eyes. We were playing this beautiful game. Each child was creating this beautiful music in the sky with their hands. They would just do a swish of the hands, and this beautiful rainbow would appear in the sky. Not only a rainbow would appear, but music would accompany the rainbow. The fun part was that each child's rainbow would be a part of the greater whole. The end result would be an orchestra of music and rainbows playing in perfect harmony. We'd all just dance and laugh and giggle. I was probably 4 or 5 years old. My sister was Catherine, a dear friend of mine. Life was so full of harmony. I was shown something ominous was going to happen to this planet. My next reflection, I remember, was the planet was being destroyed, and somehow I was placed in this ship headed to Earth. Such a tremendous shock took place that each of us were induced into a timeless sleep. We were heading towards Earth, towards a land called Egypt. The next vision I had was I was a being from another dimension, helping to bring the vision of enlightenment to Egypt. Because I came from Maladev, my body wasn't Earth-like. I had the ability to become one with the whole universe and still be conscious at the same time like a limited body. The pyramids were built at this time around a great being named Ratabin. He was an incredible being who rescued us from Maladev. Ratabin and I were great friends together. We would laugh and play throughout the universe. We knew we were totally free. My mission at that time was to teach the people in the pyramids the fundamental aspect of transcending this body. There is a way for the human consciousness to vibrate to such a level that this body will become light and enter a universal dimension. In this state, the human consciousness becomes universal consciousness. Through a period of time, man can learn the secret of life. Each one of us has this capability. We have simply forgot this. This is 34,000 years ago. Years later, I met my friend Ratabin through a channel named Amaji. Amaji brought in a beautiful entity named Mafu. Mafu, or Ratabin, is a being much grander than we can imagine. He is bringing wisdom to this planet which is never seen before. I am simply watching this incredible game being played out. Each one of us can partake in this and see for ourselves the grandness of this game. The vision soon ended. I remember at one retreat I went to see Mafu. At this particular retreat, Mafu was pairing up couples for a meditation he wanted us to do. Mafu placed me with this middle-aged lady. I knew there was a reason behind this. During the meditation, I had this incredible vision that this lady was my mother on Maladev. Tears of joy was flowing. Both of us recognized who we truly were. Mother and son were reunited once again. The reason I really love Mafu is that I now have a friend from the other side to assist me in my own personal development. We all have such incredible coaches. We have to do the work. In this game, we all have to be participants. We can't be at the sidelines. The coach will inspire us and direct us, but we have to shoot the ball. One day, after coming from work from the naval base, I closed my eyes and was carried to this particular pool on this planet named Haruna. This particular pool was nice and warm. This planet reminded me a lot like Sedona, Arizona. The planet soil was the same, red like earth. I remember a few beings in the water. The water felt so incredible. Stress would just ooze off. Amaji was there with a few other beings. I felt like my soul was completely nourished. Since that time, I've heard Amaji talk about the sands are real. I never told her about this story. The experience was so incredible. It was working on such a deep level. When I came back, I felt so fresh and alive. I felt I truly bathed in the fountain of youth. While I was living in Sedona, I was in this seminar where the leader was going to put us on a fire walk. The purpose of the fire walk was for individuals to go beyond their fears. By walking across fire and not getting burned, it has an amazing effect on the human psyche. We all participated in building the fire. We all gathered wood. There was a small ceremony and the fire was lit. When the coals were nice and hot, the leader said a prayer and he walked across the burning coals. There was probably around 40 of us. One by one, we started to walk over the coals. When it was my turn, I said to myself, well, here it goes, and slowly walked over the coals. I didn't burn myself, nor did anyone I know. I was ecstatic. I walked over the coals probably 5 times. Each time I walked over the coals, I became more confident in myself. The last time, a coal even got stuck between my toes, but nothing happened. It was an incredible experience to walk beyond your fears. Fears are meant to be embraced. We are all scared to do certain things. We should take a look at our fears and see that at times they are nothing. They can't harm us, but they can stop us from performing some action that will help us grow. I tried to see fears as my friend. I tried to get to know it. When I first moved to Hawaii, I was scared of the big waves. These waves would have so much power. Since then, I've trained myself and spent time in the water. Now I love when the surf is overhead. It is all facing our fears and doing practical things to overcome them. I trained myself to be in overall physical condition. Then when the surf was up, I was in top mental, emotional, and physical health. By overcoming my fears, I feel at home in the water. I can take off on large waves and experience a ride of a lifetime. In the end, all of us has fears that we have to face. Let's face the monster. After all, in the end, we will see it's not so bad after all. The first time I went to Sedona, I was in Phoenix for a 4-day retreat. After the retreat, 3 good friends of mine decided to go to Sedona for the day. I've heard a lot about this place. It's so beautiful driving there. It takes about 1.5 hours from Phoenix. Sedona is probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. The red rocks in the midst of the desert mountains is a sight to behold. We spent the day at Bell Rock, a huge rock shaped like Bell. I went back to the Palisades in California the next day. A week later, I get this call from my good friend David. He asked me if I wanted to move to Sedona. He was asked by Mafu to do some design work for a pyramid project. They needed a programmer and someone who knew about computers. I was on my way. I moved into a real neat trailer right by the Oak Creek. This trailer park was very serene. I never saw such a beautiful place to live. Right in my backyard was this incredible creek that I ran by. I could hear the water running while I was in my house. My days in Sedona was spent working and hiking. Sedona was an incredible place to hike. There are plenty of trails. I remember one experience I had in Bell Rock. I was halfway up the rocks when all of a sudden I could see through to another dimension. As clear as day, I saw an ocean and whales and dolphins playing in the ocean. It was amazing. Here I was in the desert on this huge bell-shaped rock. In the midst of this, I could see this incredible ocean. It wasn't a hallucination. I could actually see this dimension and the other dimension. I remember hearing about Stephen Hawking's theory of there are 10 dimensions in the universe. He proves his theory mathematically. The red rocks around Sedona is made of finely crushed crystals. Crystals are made of silica. Our brains contain a huge amount of silica. Could it be that this area allows a person to see dimensions that usually we can't feel? It was so amazing to feel right at home in this ocean. I remember this huge whale came up to me and I just gently caressed it with my hands. It reminded me almost like Roger Rabbit. There was the so-called real world and there was another cartoon world. Both worlds existed. I had a wonderful summer in Sedona. My daughter Chanda came out for the summer and we just played. We had a great time. Both of us are very close. On Raji's 14th birthday, on December 10, 1972, a huge party was held in Premnagar Ashram in India. For some reason, I came as the Blue Meanie. At that time, I didn't know why I chose that. I didn't like that character in the Yellow Submarine at all. Years later, I had this dream where I was the Blue Meanie in the Yellow Submarine. I felt this incredible energy of love fill me up. All of a sudden, this Blue Meanie became 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 265, 512, 1012, and so on to infinity. This happened in less than a fraction of a second. My whole consciousness was in the infinite ocean of Blue Meanies. The whole sea was love itself. Each Blue Meanie was separate, yet tied together by the ocean of love. I felt a power more powerful than a nuclear power plant surging through me. Just the power of love flowing through me. I became the universe. Every part of creation was an aspect of this consciousness. I knew and experienced everything on this planet and all other universes. I was one. The effect of this dream lasted a long time. I felt so fortunate to be reminded who we really are. Life will teach us in such a beautiful manner. Many experiences we don't seem to care about or nor will be using it further for a greater purpose. Well, we moved to San Diego. We got this incredible apartment just 1 block from the ocean in Del Mar. Del Mar is a real nice, quaint ocean beach town. We both started to looking for jobs. On Barbara's first day, she went to the Simple Living agency. She started talking to the owner and told her about her past jobs. Barbara spent years in the insurance industry. She was once offered $1 million company and turned it down. The owner told her that he didn't have any work, but hold on, I'll be back in a few minutes. I have someone I want you to talk to. In a few minutes, a gentleman from an insurance company comes in. They talk for probably half an hour, and presto, she has a job. At Barbara's first day at work, she finds out he needs a computer system and a computer programmer. Well, who do you think gets that job? I spent the next year working on his system. Is there something beyond coincidence? Maybe synchronicity? After a few months working one day, Barbara realizes she hasn't had a period in quite a few months. She goes to a doctor and finds out she is pregnant. Months later, we have a beautiful girl named Aaliyah. It seems like my dreams really come true. Since we live only a block from the beach, I went surfing a lot. My job from the insurance company ended. I spent the next 9 months working on a visual real estate program. My partner, John Slosky, and I were both too ahead of our time. We won awards at trade shows, but it was too advanced for its time. We had a few interested takers who wanted to market the program, but nothing happened. This program was one of the first multimedia programmers programs in the States. I wrote a template program that could generate a complete program by designing your program on the screen. It would do everything from your menus to all the most multi-relationship input screens. What would take a programmer a week, I could do in a day. I designed this also for my multimedia stuff. I took it to a major software conference and people were blown away by it. This is the first time at the conference they saw a visual database. Unfortunately, the vendor that supplied me the board went out of business. This is the best board on the market. My money was running a little dry, and I got offered a job from the Navy SEALs. This was an incredible job. I liked working for them. The company that I worked for set up a network. I was a database administrator. I wrote about 10 major programmers. The Navy was into training, so I got to go to many computer conferences and seminars. I loved the lunch hours. The Navy is really into health and fitness. The Navy has a policy. If you exercise, you can take an hour and a half lunch. If you don't, lunch is only for an hour. I, of course, opted for the hour and a half. They had a huge Olympic-sized swimming pool. I would swim a mile a day. There was also a well-equipped exercise room. When there were days of surf, I would go boogie boarding with my friends. There was a beach right across the street. I remember the day of Desert Storm. I called my wife, said I was going to be late. I didn't know what time I was going to return. I couldn't tell her anything. I was assigned to do this computer program. I only had a short time. Thank you, I had my templates. I developed a program in 6 hours. If I didn't have my templates, it would take about a week. There was a 6-month interval I was allowed to work at home. The Navy respected my work, and they had no qualms about me working at home. They knew it wasn't going to take advantage of the situation. I really had a good life. I would wake up in the morning, meditate, exercise, and then head for the beach for a few hours. It was so wonderful to surf every day. I loved the cold water. I had a great wetsuit. I could stay out for hours and never get cold. I remember many incredible surf sessions. I would love when the surf was overhead. During the winter, San Diego gets many incredible swells. For me, surfing was an art form. Nothing can describe the experience of riding a wave. I was completely in tune with the waves. My daughter Chanda would come out for the summer. She lived in Philadelphia. We had a beautiful time boogie board in Del Mar. The whole family would go to the beach and just play. I felt truly my life was wonderful. Truly my dreams were coming true. Barbara and I decided that she should stay home with Aaliyah. We both felt it was important to raise our own child. At the same time, we realized the financial burden, but it was well worth it. Barbara poured tons of love into Aaliyah. We both knew that love is truly the answer, especially in the first 5 years. Barbara spent these years focusing on our child. It was time well spent. I had a great family life. Both of us were truly happy with each other. One morning, I was driving to work, where I had this incredible flash, which only lasted for a second. In this flash, I became one with the whole universe. I was the sun, the stars, black holes, galaxies. I knew everything. I was intelligent. Here I was driving down the highway in rush hour traffic when I had this experience. The experience only lasted 1 second, but had such an impact. It was like a lightning strike. My whole body and being was so charged. Each one of us can have such a realization. It goes beyond time and space. I wonder what would happen if I could tap into this 24 hours a day. Makes you kind of wonder. One early morning, I was meditating using Mafu's techniques. I felt such joy and happiness. All of a sudden, I felt this incredible power. I saw this incredible cobra at my root chakra. This cobra was slowly rising up my spine. The energy was incredible. It was so real. I became a little afraid due to the power and the cobra. I knew I would not be harmed at all. I controlled my fear and let the experience grow. The cobra went all the way to my third eye, which is the pituitary gland. At each step of the way, I would have a different experience. I've always heard about the Kundalini experience, but this is the first time I had the experience to see it. The Vedas talk about this experience. The cobra was so real. It was like you had to face your greatest fears, and then and only then could you be taken to a different level of consciousness. It's amazing this experience exists inside of our own being, and yet it is dormant. We are so involved in this world that we simply are unaware of a greater reality. I learned that the scriptures of the past were based upon practical experience. We have simply convoluted the meaning of the experience and came up with a different meaning altogether. I was working for the Navy as a computer programmer. One day I got off work. I was walking downstairs in the main building I was working in. All of a sudden, this alien is behind me. He looks like a combination of a human and reptilian. I had a little fear, but I knew I would be alright. As soon as I reached the bottom of the stairs, I saw the guard look right at me. I was thinking, do you see what I see? The alien was right at my side. I couldn't believe the guard didn't see him. I laughed to myself and walked out the building. The alien still continued to walk by my side until I got into my car. I entered my car, and the alien sat in the passenger seat. He drove with me for about 10 miles. To this day, I wish I had said something to him. I'm still a little bit afraid, not because he was an alien, but this incident caught me totally by surprise. I remember looking at this alien in my car, and I could see him smiling inside. He was friendly, at the same time full of wisdom. I knew I would be okay, but at the same time, it was the eerie feeling that I saw the alien face to face. It's strange in our society, the vast majority of people know there are beings who exist from another planets or worlds, and our government tries to suppress and downplay any activities about UFOs and aliens. Some people might say it was hallucination or a vision. I don't drink, take any drugs, including medical drugs. I get plenty of sleep, etc. This encounter was as real as any physical encounter with any human being I have faced. The only difference was this was an alien. For myself, I knew I had a wonderful encounter with an alien from a different home than Earth. The next time I think I will carry on a conversation and learn more about him. A few minutes later, I was with Saran, who claims to have a mothership within our galaxy. He was taking my family for a walk in Laguna Mountains outside of San Diego. I had no idea where we were going. I had a picnic lunch with me. We probably walked for half an hour. All of a sudden, Saran stopped and with a smile he said, "Do you see anything different about this place?" I looked around and at first glance I thought, "What are you talking about? All I see is forest." Then I started to see what was around me. All around me was a huge circle. Inside of this circle, the leaves, grass, and trees were burnt. I've heard stories about how when a UFO lands, the surrounding area is burned. I know this wasn't man-made or made by nature. It was obvious some craft landed. It was kind of strange that Saran took us on this walk and we just happened to end up there. If you are over 40, do you remember the good times being a kid? Do you remember your childlike innocence and inquisitive nature with this world? Have you over time developed a more hard-headed survival attitude with the world? Have your lifelong dreams simply disappeared? Have you been looking for some door to open, but it's been shut for many years? It's amazing, but inside of us lies the adventure of a lifetime. There the joy of life and opening new doors exist. It's time to rediscover ourselves. It's time to wipe off the mirror. Our mirror has gotten so dusty that we've forgotten the joys of life. Look at children. My daughter Aaliyah wakes up every morning with a joyous nature. She is thrilled to be alive. She is curious about life. She loves to learn. When was the last time we had that feeling? What if I told you there was a library inside of you which contained the intelligence and wisdom of the universe? Would you be excited? Look at Tony Robbins. Here is a man totally excited by life. Do we have that excitement? He loves to learn. Do we like to be stagnant? We can turn our life around. We have the possibility to really smell the flowers. Can you imagine the power and energy it takes for a flower to bloom? Incredible miracles are happening to us, and we simply fall asleep. Man has never been bored discovering himself, but man is bored when he stops learning. That is the point we simply waste away and die. Sometimes I feel man dies of pure boredom. We work all our lives, retire, and are bored still. What am I going to do? If a man spends his whole life discovering himself, he will never be bored. Life will always be an adventure. There are places inside of your being that will make you jump up and down in joy. It's there, just waiting for you to open the door. You are the master of your own house. How do you want to decorate your house? All the tools lie inside of you. Ask yourself to be rediscovered. Your child will be glad. From what I've seen from the Western experience, if I can't see it, then it can't be real. Or I didn't learn that from school, so it must be false. We're so conditioned that our reality comes from our five senses. Everything else is probably a figure of imagination or hallucination. If a blind man would tell us the world doesn't exist because I can't see it, we would all laugh. Yet as a society, we are acting like a blind man. What is it in man's nature he wants to know? But at the same time, when the truth is shown, he turns his head in the opposite direction. Are we so materialistic that we have forgotten? I've said many times that American Indians couldn't quite figure us out. We figured we could own all the land, and still do. They have a completely different understanding of the universe that we do. To this day, Western man has failed to see the truth. Yet our modern day scientists are discovering and uncovering mysteries of life. They are learning from the so-called indivisible. Yet it takes a long time for our society to integrate those experiences. Each one of us has their own individual lab to discover the mysteries of life. Years ago, man thought it would be impossible to send pictures and sound via the airwaves. Nowadays, we spend hours a day watching the tube. It's time for us to expand our horizons. Your mind is an incredible instrument. I have thought of inventions before they even existed. You have the same capability. Dream about the possibilities of you experiencing your Creator. In the end, we just have to shift our mindset. We don't know all the answers. We will never stop learning. Trust that you have inner senses that are waiting to be explored. When I first received knowledge in India, I felt the whole world would want to receive this experience. I had such a powerful experience that I thought the whole world would want it. People did in fact flock to it. In the beginning, I had a lot of short sightings. I felt as a group we felt we were right and the world was wrong. This is a classic example of being fanatical. This goes back to the age-old dilemma of religion. God is on my side. A person who is fanatical can't see the forest from the trees. These days I'm glad to see that diversity in all the religions. Each religion is a flower on a garden of life. I feel if each one of us fine-tune ourselves in the manner that fits us, the world would be in a better place. Nature has taught me a lot. The sun always shines, and the wind always blows. Nature doesn't try to convert anybody. It just is. It has nothing to prove. Maybe we should learn from it. By knowing ourselves, we can simply be in love with this world. We can be like a child. Experiences come and go, but the thing which ties us together is love. Through that experience, we can accept the world as it is. We had more tolerance for each other, this world would be in a better place. It's kind of amazing to look back over the years and see how far we have grown. In the end, I see what Raji was trying to do years ago. Raji had to overcome his students' fanaticism. They were at times his weakest link. He was doing his job, and I see people had intentions but were following it up. Maybe as a whole society can learn from one another. Even if something means the world to you, it doesn't mean that it's made for the person next to you. If it may be true, people come on their own terms and time. I haven't been involved in Raji's movement for about 10 years now. I'm still part of it. Knowledge keeps on growing. I'm not biased or need to convince anybody of the experiences that I had. They were genuine. People listen when they have nothing to prove or convince anybody. I know when someone tries to put on a salesman job. Fortunately, Raji wasn't a salesman. That experience lives on. Where is man's true home? We're only here on this earth planet for a brief flicker in time. Where is our true home? Man has been trying to solve this question for a long time. We come into this world and we leave. What is our purpose on this earth? Or is there a purpose? Is our life some random event? Does humanity just carry on without even thinking about these kind of questions? Have you ever sat and looked at the stars and marveled at the perfection of the universe? We live on this small planet named Earth. This planet contains thousands of different animals and species. It has wondrous mountains with gorgeous sunsets. It contains the sea with all the beautiful creatures. It is alive. And we go through our 9-to-5 existence until we retire, and then we die. For thousands of years, great teachers such as Christ, Buddha, Muhammad, and Krishna have come to this planet. They talked about going home. Christ talked about his kingdom was there with his Father. He said you belong to the same kingdom. Buddha talked about his home, which pervading beyond time and space. All of us want to go home. The peace and joy that we experience comes directly from our home. We receive small impulses and messages that yes, there is a greater home than this earth. On earth, we can learn many valuable lessons, but it's only a school. Eventually, you have to return home. Everything eventually goes back to its source. It goes back to the Creator. Maybe someday the whole universe will collapse and return back to its Creator, and then maybe the whole cycle will start again. Our home is beyond this physical universe. It is beyond the stars, the galaxy, the Milky Way. It lies beyond what we can even imagine. It lies with our Father. It's amazing, this human body. It's easily the most intelligent computer in the universe. How this body functions is a miracle. And yet man is wired to be more than this current miracle. We walk, talk, think, move, and play that would be impossible for any robot. But we have some ability that we have even tapped into. We have the ability to tap into our Creator. Man's circuitry has the ability to tap into this experience. All the necessary apparatus is in place. What we need is the will and knowledge how to tap into this. I feel as a race, many of us are tapping into this kind of experience. People all over the world are beginning to open up. All of us have the capability. It is a choice. Do you want to experience your true home while you are alive? You can. Every day, every moment of our life is a miracle that's taking place. And yet, we miss out on it. If we would be conscious of it, we would be completely satisfied. We look for joy and happiness every day of our life. We get married, have kids, we work, and we play. At some level, man is looking for completeness. He is looking for the secret of life. It's kind of amazing. It's right between our eyes, and we miss it. The Indians have a story that the Lord wanted to hide from man. He thought, where should I hide? In the earth or stars? He knew over time man would discover him. Finally, he came up with a plan. He would inside of man. Man would never look there. It's a story, but unfortunately at times it's true. Mankind as a whole doesn't realize that the power of the whole universe lies inside of us. Endless joy. We can't even imagine what a power it is. We breathe 24 hours a day, and we fail to recognize the power of breath. What is keeping us alive? Have we ever stopped for a moment? For many people, they simply aren't interested. Why should I want to know that? I don't have time for that. We weren't made to understand that, but we were, and can have that experience. Let's stop and ask yourself the question, where do I start? From that question, you're on the road, enjoying the club. Your life will start to take off. Man has such a potential in his life. We're all born with a unique gift to offer this world. Unfortunately, in this present time, there is so much bureaucracy and a spirit of giving up in this world. We need to rekindle the spirit in this world. Each of us contains the spark of creation. We need to learn to create a passion for life. Drugs and alcohol are rampant because we, as a society, have given up. We have millions of prisoners locked up in prisons. They have given up on life. In our school systems, we don't learn about the virtues of life. We don't learn how precious every moment is. We need to take a look at the universe. We need to take a look at ourselves. Each one of us is a part of the circle of life. Deep down, further than the cellular level, we are part of God's creation. We need to tap into that experience. Can you imagine what would happen if man would consciously tap into this energy? His life would surely change. he would be motivated. We need an inner motivation. In our highly competitive world, morals and ethics have completely left the picture. We are at total war with one another. We have takeovers and buyouts. Just think, many take over the people who take over the company have zero interest in the common worker. They're interested in making a profit. If a man is a cutthroat and a real fighter, he can make it big in the business world. Honesty and compassion are traits not to be had. We scheme and try to get company secrets. France has a CIA force which lurks on American businesses and obtains vital secrets. They declare it a business war. With this type of leadership, where are we headed? Many of the world's businesses would lack a compassion and honesty. Yet compassion is like water. It is very vital and a powerful force. Without compassion, man would have perished probably a long time ago. Compassion is the glue which holds the human consciousness together. Without it, we have a Hitler or Napoleon on our hands. Businesses are so much into making a profit that ethics have gone by the wayside. We are only interested in being millionaires. Howard Hughes was probably one of the richest men on earth, but in the end, was he truly happy and content? Was he full of compassion? A man who has compassion is perfectly at ease with his world, his neighbors, nature, and ultimately his creator. He is truly free. He needs no money to be happy. He can have all the money in the world and he will still be content. This state of awareness is not taught in our schools. We train our children mostly on ways to achieve financial success, but we don't have a clue about mastering ourselves. Compassion is a gift from God. In order to change this world, we have to be compassionate. If we truly want world peace, each one of us has to develop and pray for compassion. I know of many students who have an attitude that my teacher is better than your teacher. I say, so what? Each teacher is totally different and unique. If you go to the university, even if you have a lousy teacher, if you wanted, you would learn. Now you could have the greatest teacher on the face of the planet. If you didn't want to learn, you wouldn't. I believe you are your own teacher. They are there to assist and guide you. But it's up to you to do your lessons. You have to want to learn. Raji said you could take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. He said, well, you can put salt in this food. Teachers put salt in our food. They give us the raw inspiration that we need. I know with all the teachers I had, I received the inspiration to carry on. Over the years, I have also learned of my inner teachers. These teachers can come in the form of visions, dreams, and emotions. Our inner teacher is ever present in our life because it is ourselves. We just have to be still and learn how to communicate with it. Your inner teacher is your closest friend. It is there always to support you. I have learned over time to respect all teachers. It took me a long time. Even if I have more feelings about certain teachers, I have learned respect. They're only trying to help humanity in their own way. Sometimes they fail, but so do we. We are all teachers. Let's be open to one another. So many times a new concept or idea happens on this planet, and the world laughs. I don't care what human arena is, but we do it. Years later, it becomes the truth. In the meantime, we are the fools. In the end, I would like to congratulate all the teachers on this planet. You are taking the right step. One of the greatest events in the history of mankind is happening right before our eyes, and we're not even aware of it. This world has reached a juncture where we must decide where we want to go. We can obviously blow ourselves up, or we have few wonderful options. The Great White Brotherhood is a consortium of beings who help balance the state of affairs on different dimensions. They have existed for eternity. There are many wonderful beings who have merged themselves as a single and separate consciousness. There are both sides of the coin. They are separate entities, yet at the same time, they are a group with a common consciousness. They are here for universal justice. They don't enforce their way on anyone, but if you want their assistance, they will come in any shape, way, or form. The majority of all our great spiritual teachers, past, present, and future, are part of this consortium. They are here because they love humanity. At this critical time in the history of the planet, we need help. Our government can't solve the problems. There are millions of people on the face of this planet who are part of this master plan. Some are aware and some not. We can blow ourselves up in disharmony, or we can learn how to live in harmony. It's our choice. They will never harm us. Their aim is to protect humanity, but it is our decision. Humanity as a whole has to make that decision. Do we want chaos like we have now, or do we want a planet where happiness, cooperation, and tolerance reside? I have met many of these beings, and they are the most compassionate beings you will ever meet. A lot of them have lived lives and know our drama. They learn to transcend this world. Their joy is to assist and teach us ways to improve our lives. They're not interested in changing your religion. They just want you to be a better Christian if you are a Christian. If you're a Buddhist, be like a Buddha. Live in compassion and tolerance that the Buddha preached. We are all brothers and sisters from the Almighty Father. They have been sent here by our Father to help humanity. What would this world be like if we all lived in compassion towards each other? We would be in peace. We are living in disharmony. When man lives in disharmony, his civilization goes down the tube. We have the ability to change ourselves. Each one of us has all the help we need if we request our help. We should pray and ask for guidance in our lives. Let's stop pretending we know all the answers. We don't. Help from the entire universe is at each one's beckoning call. We just have to ask. It's time humanity wakes up. A lot of people think I'm too busy with my life. Well, when your last breath leaves your body, how busy will you be? Let's build a safe place in this world. We all have the same dream. Be here now. This phrase, be here now, has turned really into a cliche. Yet there's a lot of truth behind this phrase. As human beings, we have a tendency to live in the past or live in the future. I remember as a kid, I always wanted to be older, and when you're older, you want to be younger. We don't know how to live in the pure joy of this moment. We don't ever smell the flowers. The whole world is so preoccupied about their life, they don't realize the miracle of life itself. If one would experience the miracle of life, you would be present here now. Your consciousness would be here, not in the past or the future. Most people don't know the power of the mind. If you would ask who has control over you, you or your mind, they would say, of course I do. But if you showed them how to meditate, they would be surprised. So many people I know have given up meditation because it's very difficult to control the mind. They will come up to me and say, I never knew my mind would chatter so much. I would just laugh because I observe myself. Practice makes perfect. By putting in the effort, we can learn to control the mind. The mind is our friend. Man has to learn how to meditate 24 hours a day. It doesn't matter what state whether you're in awakening, dreaming, or sleep state, we can be conscious of the energy that's keeping us alive. I'm not there, but I do see the possibility. It's not impossible, but it can happen. In that state of awareness, we would be present in this moment. How many times have we had experience that came to us and we just weren't there? Maybe it could be like making love. You're there, your body is there, but the mind and your consciousness is somewhere else. You have gone through the motions, but missed the experience. A lot of times our bodies are running on a subconscious level. We aren't quite there. The phrase be here now has been around for a long time now. Let's shift our consciousness so we can truly understand its meaning. I know a lot of people think that it's an old hippie phrase, but it's not. It came from the Sanskrit language, Sat Chit Anand. Sat means truth, Chit means consciousness, and Anand means bliss. Truth is the consciousness of bliss. All over India, this phrase is plastered all over the temples. It's been used for thousands of years, long before our present Western civilization. Even back then, man had the same problem. He lived in the past or the future. Have you ever noticed how, as human beings, we have the tendency to blow things out of proportion? We love to take our problems and totally blow them up like a balloon. I know I have done that. Probably most wars have started this way. Somebody says something that hurts your ego, and the next thing you know, nations are fighting with one another. Sometimes we as human beings, we don't respond rationally. What would our response be like if we just stopped, took a deep breath, and just relaxed for a moment? We might see a different picture. We might see that read words that really weren't there. At that point, we could easily defuse the bomb. Once we light the fuse, it's very difficult for two people or nations to stop the conflict. We do the same in everyday life. The husband comes home tired from work, and the wife snaps at the husband because she's frustrated by something else. The husband snaps back and a fight occurs. If we could just relax for one moment and defuse the bomb like, you see you're tired, let's make some dinner, things will be alright. I know I have a lot to learn from relationships. It took me years to realize that humans don't have telepathic conversations with others. My brother and I had this type of communication. When it got time for a relationship with others, I had to develop the necessary skills. Men and women have to learn how to help one another. I know for men it's hard to express our emotions. We were taught never to cry. We should suppress our emotions. It took me time, but I'm learning to express my emotions. When I'm happy, I'm happy. When I'm sad, I'm sad. If I cry, I cry. Emotions are tools for us. Once we learn about our emotions, we can really enjoy this life. Our body will love us for it. Each time we suppress an emotion, the emotion gets suppressed into our body. We can be stiff as a board. Have you ever seen someone who is very stuffy? Not only is their emotions, but also their body. They aren't flexible with life. They carry an attitude about life. We, as humans, have a lot to learn. I sure do. Yet each step of the way can be a meaningful experience. Next time we see a molehill, let's stop, look and listen. Maybe it won't turn into a mountain. All of us dream every night. The majority of the world sees dreams as without any meaning, yet our dreams are there for a purpose. Is our subconscious speaking to us in our dreams? Do our dreams contain our innermost secrets? Do they contain messages that can help us? One aspect of dreams that I'm fascinated by is the dream state is a reminder of who we really are. We are all dreamers. We all dream for a better world for our family and ourselves. Our dreams allow us to touch and feel that part of ourselves which is perfect and pure. It guides us, teaches us, and nourishes us. It is one of our best friends because it is part of ourselves. Dreams teach me to tune in and listen to myself. At times, the image will show me where to go and where to turn. There is an active intelligence taking place. It brings us into a primordial place. Just think, every night man dies to this world and enters the dream world. Can we merge our consciousness from the dream world into the waking state? What would happen if we learned to consciously day in and day out dream of heaven on earth? Could we somehow bring this unconsciousness into this world? We have this kind of power. Let's unite ourselves and bring our subconscious being to life. For only a small portion of our brain. What would happen if we learned how to use the full capacity? Our body is designed for it. We are truly beings of love. We have just lost sight of who we are. There are millions of people out there who dream for heaven on earth. John Lennon wrote a great song about the power of dreaming. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope that someday you will join us and the world will be as one. The power of dreams. Let this whole planet dream of peace on earth, not only during Christmas, but every day of our lives. Each of us had teachers who guided and molded our lives. The three teachers who had molded my life was Maraji, Mahfoud, and Zoran. Each one of them gave me different kinds of insight. I told you I first met Maraji in India. He was only 13 years old when I met him. Maraji as a person was incredible. He was very funny. I remember being with him and hearing him tell one-line jokes one after the other. I thought I was going to die from laughter. He was very bright as a boy. He was probably the most intelligent kid I knew, yet at the same time, he loved to play games. He had a serious side and yet the love to play. I only interacted personally with him for a few years. I felt he was my best friend, yet at the same time, he was my teacher. He motivated me and encouraged me to discover who I truly was. He was so wonderful to have a teacher to assist you in your own personal growth. I saw he was totally motivated in his mission. He had millions of people who were practicing meditation. His whole life was spent in traveling around the world and helping others. One side I liked that Raji wasn't a hermit. He married quite young, had a family, was involved with the world. He was quite rich. Many people criticized him for having money, but to this day, it doesn't faze me. I like the idea that we can create our dreams. This world isn't meant to escape it. Each one of us has different dreams. I like the idea to see one man's dream being manifested. It brought to me, I can create my own happiness. I can create anything I want. It's beautiful to see that as a person he was growing. One thing I learned was that I was responsible for my own life. Nobody would live it for me. Marathi simply gave advice on living your life. His talks were inspiring to hear. He inspired me to transform my whole life. Each one of us has to make effort for our own transformation. To this day, I still use his meditation techniques. They opened my door to myself. Years later, I'm still on the path of self-discovery. It keeps on getting better. Mafu was another profound teacher. Mafu is channeled by a beautiful lady named Amachi. Mafu was radically different than Maraji. In the beginnings of meditation were guided meditations with a lot of imagery. He brought in a lot of ancient wisdom from cultures all around the world and not of this world. His message was that we're in charge of our own development. I learned about the power of thought and how to empower my own life. His teachings were radically different. I learned a lot about my own emotions. When I was in his presence, I felt I was with my best friend. He treated us as equals. His goals were for each one for us to discover the way to come home. Mafu was also incredibly funny. He had a great sense of humor. He was highly emotional. His wisdom touched me deeply. I learned some powerful prayers from him. They were very touching. He brought me in touch with my love for God. Around 4 years ago, he started bringing the old Vedic wisdom. He introduced a lot of old meditation techniques to get in touch with ourselves. This ancient wisdom was the foundation of where India was built upon. I haven't spent much time personally with Mahadev. I consider him to be a good friend and teacher. I've gained much wisdom each time I've been in his audience. I've had many profound experiences in his audience. I found a lot about my past through my many visions. The last time I saw Mahadev was in Oregon in Oregon. I just happened to be on a business trip to Portland. I received a phone call from a dear friend, Harry Bartz. Harry told me there was a 4-day retreat, and why don't I come? A rental car was arranged for me, so I drove 4 hours to the retreat site. I had a great time there. The event was extremely organized. Mafu was sharing old Vedic meditation techniques with us. I remember the first time I walked into this temple. I sat down with a group, and I was a little embarrassed. This huge rainbow stream of light gave my being and filled the whole room. I felt a little awkward because I didn't want to be disrespectful. I definitely didn't want to announce my presence. I had a wonderful time there. As a matter of fact, I wrote Mafu a letter saying I wanted to move my family there. It never happened. I felt very fortunate to have the chance to have been there. I feel that the work that Amaji and Mafu are doing is very beneficial to this planet. I could sit in both of their audiences for hours. It's highly entertaining, at the same time most enlightening. Saran was another great teacher in my life. From the day I first met him, we became good friends. Saran is channeled by Makar. Saran was different than both Mafu and Maraji. His whole teaching was through play and laughter. I learned more about my child aspect of myself. He also had great wisdom. Through his teachings, I had incredible meditation experiences. At times I felt my whole body would disintegrate into light. We went to Mexico together for 1 month. It was definitely an incredible trip. Both Saran and Mafu taught me that we are our own masters of this life. A teacher guides us. We have to do the work. Saran's philosophy was simple. His way to enlightenment was through ecstasy. Meditation was a joy. Life was not a struggle. He taught truly to me in love with life. Saran was the one who was my teacher in the past on the planet called Nucleus. There I learned about the innermost secrets of energy. He was the one who was responsible for taking me on this ship which you already read about. There is a lot going on that meets the eye. Each of these teachers taught me something unique about myself. I learned about my emotions, meditation, the power of thought. I learned so many incredible tools. Each teacher respected me, and I respected them. It is and will be a great learning experience. For some now, for some years now, I've integrated the tools I've learned into my daily life. I respect all teachers from all walks of life. We are all in this dance together. As Ma Fu once put it, if we are only strong, we are only strong as the weakest link. By making us one of us strong, we become stronger. It's a new step in evolution. The first time I met Ma Fu, I knew I had met my long-lost brother. It was a long time ago in ancient Egypt, but that's another story. Anji is a beautiful American saint of our time. She is the one who channels Ma Fu. She is, as far as I know, the only American woman who has been ordained a Swami by the order in India. There are many rigorous tests that you have to pass. I believe it's almost next to impossible to pass what she did. Ma Fu is an enlightened Lord who enlightened during the time of Christ at Mount Vesuvius in Italy. He was a leper during that time. To make a long story short, he has a group of people he is working with. He is one of many beings on this planet who are here to help make a shift in consciousness. He has a group in Oregon who he works with on a personal basis. I was first told about Ma Fu from my guides, even before Amji began to channel Ma Fu. I was told that Ma Fu would be one of my teachers in this life. His teaching was revolutionary and quite different. My guide said I would have quite the experience. They were correct. My connections with Ma Fu has been mostly spiritual. I've been in his presence probably 40 times since 1986. The first time we ever talked was in Los Angeles. I saw him for 5 or 6 times before he talked to me. This occurred in February 1987. I was in the audience with some of my friends. Ma Fu was going around the room and talking to certain people. At one point he came up to me and asked me, "What can I give you? Do you want riches?" He started offering me anything I desired. I just smiled and knew he was my friend. I really was satisfied. I didn't ask for anything, but I was overwhelmed. I felt such a love and compassion. It was like my long-lost friend seeing me and wanted me to feel completely at home. Ma Fu would have probably given me the world if I wanted it. There was such a connection between us. Over the years, I've been in contact with the group in Oregon through my friends. My connection is on a different level. For a long time, whenever I was experienced, I found out that the group was experienced or going through the same thing. I wasn't left out at all. I had my own daily seminars. Ever since I moved to Hawaii, I haven't been involved in hardly any events. My time has been simply cultivating the experience. One time, I saw Ma Fu in Arizona. He was walking around the large auditorium and asked people questions. He asked me, "Do you like your lips?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Do you know why?" I said, "Because it's part of my body." He said, "What I'm about to say will cause great controversy to you." Okay, there it goes. You have not been on this planet Earth for 35,000 years. You have the same body, the same chemistry as in Egypt. For 35,000 years, you have been an unlimited being. I can't tell you in words what kind of experience I was having then. It's like a whole veil was being lifted. But Ma Fu taught, and now is the techniques from the ancient world and present. He uses the ancient wisdom of the Vedas, the ancient ways of Egypt, the American Indians. He is using this wisdom for those who want to know pure and simple. Some of this wisdom has been shared on this planet before. I've included the transcript of that seminar in Arizona. Ma Fu, do you love your mouth? Yes. Ma Fu, do you know why you do? Because I love myself. Ma Fu, do you know why it's so familiar with you? No. Ma Fu, are you prepared for an evenness? Yes. Ma Fu, it will cause great controversy inside of you. Well, here it goes. Laughter from the audience. You have not been on this planet, regardless of what limited entities have given unto you in your fantasy of it. and therefore they have responded for 34,000 years. This is the truth, and this mouth directly comes from that. The whole of your cellular memory, you have been unlimited God for 34,000 years. You are like unto a woman of the day of yester, and unto Sophia entity. Counsel with her, and take your nutrition with her on this day. Have lunch. It will be a great saving grace for you. You brought it here because you loved him. This is the cellular memory of 34,000 years ago. This is why the penis functions different than others. This is why the heart is different, the breath, because it doesn't understand how the 20th century at all. Great entity. We should do much together, you and me. So be it. Pointing to Sophia. You counsel with this man. He is a great companion of yours. The reason I mentioned Mafu is that this is an example of a group who are trying to live in a way that is into the 21st century. The wisdom isn't merely intellectual, but also practical. They are for a group one of the cutting edges of new thought and technology. Remember, all it takes is for one person to be transformed. Many people I know disagree with so-called channel entities. They say it's the subconscious speaking from that person. If it is, so be it. Isn't it wonderful that the subconscious is powerful enough to come out and relay useful information? According to scientists, we only use a fraction of our brains. So many things are going on at subconscious level. If channeling is only the subconscious, then great. Oracles have been around for thousands of years. I give the analogy of a telephone conversation from one dimension to another. As a matter of fact, there are so many different kinds of oracle. Mafu, when he comes in, takes over all body functions as energy. She leaves the body and Mafu comes in. Her physical size change. We seem to think as humans that we are the only source of life in this whole universe. Anything new, we are skeptical. I'm glad there are beings like Ma'alaji on the face of the planet. I believe we need a spiritual evolution revolution. We don't need guns or war to achieve it. We simply need to change ourselves.
Where do we come from? If you ask any indigenous person where we come from, and they will point towards the stars. It's amazing that throughout the entire world, they have their own creation story, yet all of them are so similar. All of them say, we came from the stars. I find that quite fascinating. Little Ricky and little Johnny knew they came from the stars. How did they know? Why did they feel they were a stranger in a strange land? Why did both of them love to meditate and discover the jewel within? Most of their friends probably thought they were crazy. Little Ricky knew his soul was eternal. He knew the soul was never created, nor will never die. The body will. He had visions of coming from the Pleiades. At a young age, he definitely didn't tell anyone. He could tell his brother, but no one else. What was incredible, that little Ricky had a glimpse of his true nature at a young age. He knew he came from the stars, yet he knew he didn't have the full picture. To be honest, that can be quite frustrating. It's like living in a dream where you have forgotten your true nature. You have amnesia, yet there are signs that you remember who you truly are. Why is this so important to remember? Well, this world can be a crazy place. We have lost touch of our true nature. We are so out of touch with our true nature that we cringe when someone tells us there's a jewel that lies within. We don't want to grab a shovel and dig for the jewel. Somehow, we are content of where we are in life. We see in America the mass killings, yet we don't change the laws. Fortunately, millions of people are waking up from their slumber. The sun is arising in the sky. There was a dark night for thousands of years. Darkness has prevailed, yet darkness is simply the absence of light. The light is shining, and darkness has no place to hide. Just look at all the craziness in the world today. Darkness has no place to hide. I remember when I was young that Carl Sagan said that we're all made of stardust. The entire earth is made of stardust. Isn't that incredible? If you are bored with that statement, then you are the universe. You just don't know it. But you can. If you're bored with that statement, that is your free will and free choice. All we are saying is that you have forgotten your true nature. You are magnificent. The universe will never judge you. You are never alone. This journey is not an easy journey. To be honest, it's quite challenging. You never get bored, that's for sure. Little Ricky and little Johnny love this adventure. Both of them have a grand roller coaster of a ride. At times you want to hold on for dear life, and at times it's a walk in the park. This story is not the usual story. It's told from the heart and soul of little Ricky. Did you know the more you write, the more you discover who you truly are? It's like peeling an onion. There are so many layers to peel.
The title of this poem is Pleasant Surprise. My dear friend Shay passed away 2 years ago. We were friends for around 28 years. We considered each other as spiritual brothers. We were on the same path of life. He died without me having an opportunity to say goodbye. Recently, I discovered some tapes that were recorded many moons ago. I was having a reading and Shay was in the house. Shay said he thought there were many people in the room because of such laughter he'd never heard before. When the channel was over, only 3 people walked out of the room. As I listened to the tape, Zoran, who was being channeled, told me had spent time at a planet called Nucleus. Nucleus was a university where people studied God directly. Imagine being able to be the whole universe and to be aware of it. This was the nature of the studies in Nucleus. Anyway, during my early morning meditation, I decided to go to Nucleus. I closed my eyes and went into deep meditation. After several moments, the next thing I knew, I was in a cosmic soup of light, love, and sound. To my astonishment, Shay appeared in the light. You could say he was the light. He had a simple message to deliver. I'm more than okay. Please send my love to all my family and friends. It was so great to hear from my dear old friend. Shay was saying something that was dear to my heart. You are the universe and just don't know it. Shay was in that state of oneness. He was one with his Creator. He was home.
I just learned yesterday that a dear friend of mine, Randy Stapler, died last Friday. In my high school yearbook, Randy wrote the following: "A word of wisdom from a fool." Randy's one word was Om, yet he used the letter O as a yin-yang symbol. To be honest, it was quite profound for its time. Randy had a great heart. My twin brother and I ran cross-country and track together with Randy. He was always a delight to be around. I last talked to Randy only a few months back. He talked about his kids and spending time in Iraq. Both of us loved to cook. We both loved the ocean. We had so much in common. I would see incredible posts on Facebook with Randy and his 6 kids. They all had an incredible love for each other. The day he died, all 6 kids were there. What a beautiful way to leave this world. Randy's body died, yet his spirit is eternal. His ashes were spread across the universe. Randy is still alive. Close your eyes and go into the silence. You will sense Randy's presence. Randy lives inside of your heart. He is a part of you. So whenever you are sad about your dear dad living this planet, remember he is a part of you. Those glorious memories never go away. They are a part of you. Randy is riding the incredible wave of the universe. He is a cosmic surfer now. Some things never change. They just transform and go into another dimension. Love you, Randy. We will see your shining face again.
Do you love your mouth?
Yes.
Do you know why you do?
Because I love myself.
But do you know why it is so familiar to you?
No.
Are you prepared for the nevenness?
Yes.
It will cause controversy within you. Well, here goes. You have not been on this planet regardless of what limited entities have given unto you in your fantasy of it, and therefore they've responded for 34,000 years. That is a truth. And this mouth directly comes from there. The whole of your cellular memory, you have been unlimited God for 34,000 years. You are likened unto a woman on the day of Yester and unto Sophia entity. Counsel with her. Take your nutrition with her on this day. It will be a great saving grace for you. You brought it here because you loved them. This is the cellular memory of 34,000 years ago. That is why the penis functions differently than others. That is why the heart is different, the breath, because it doesn't understand how the 20th century works at all. Great entity. We shall do much together, you and I. So be it. You counsel with this man. He is a great companion of yours.
Closing. We are all hardwired to discover our true nature. The universe even installed the software via the operating system. Unfortunately, most of us have forgotten to turn on the computer of life. We are so focused externally. During this pandemic, it's a perfect time to discover the jewel within. Yet, we are oblivious to our true nature. In a way, that's sad. Yet, a river always returns to its source. Someday,